I'm on a healing journey. I have my peach and my hot dog. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. I am Raphael and I am here to review season 16, episode 2 of The Real Housewives fighting over a hot dog man of Atlanta. So we start the episode off right where we left off at Shamia's birthday party. The birthday girl, she's questioning Drew. Drew, I heard from 3 different people that you're actually dating Porsha's ex, Dennis. Is that true? Drew, she's looking at her like, how do they know about Dennis? They must smell hot dog on my breath. So right away she starts denying it. And I mean, I don't know, Drew. It looks very suspicious. Allegedly you and Mr. Hot Dog Man at the club, holding hands, matching outfits, opening up to Tamar Braxton of all people. But then again, can you blame Drew? You know, because listening to Tamar's music, it will make you feel a little vulnerable, a little lonely, a little frisky. So now you're in bed, it's late at night, you want to cuddle. Ralph, he can't come upstairs because the judge ordered him to stay in the basement forever. So now you're going through your contacts like, let me text my producer, you know, Dennis. Hey, Dennis, how are you? You want to come over tonight? I'm craving a hot dog, extra relish. So I can see where she's coming from to some degree, right? So then Porsha, she jumps in it and she goes from 0 to 100 on Drew for no reason. And she's like, you are a low down individual. If I was Drew, I would have told Porsha, okay, if I'm low down, what does that make you? Like, Porsha, you're just upset that Drew is pulling a you on you and now she's tasting your leftover hot dogs. But didn't you do the same thing to Fallon, technically, just in a different font? You know, and honestly, I would have been on your side in this whole situation because, Drew, it does look very wrong that you're sneaking around, you know, behind Porsha's back with her ex, and it just looks really weird, and this is girl code, and that's your friend. You know, but since she couldn't follow girl code with Fallon, and she did what she did with Simon, then may the best bitch win. So for all I know, Porsha, too damn bad. You know, Drew, if she wants to chew on Dennis's hot dog that's been around Atlanta all she wants from Monday through Sunday, then that's her business. It is what it is. So Porsha tells the producer, can I break the fourth wall? I'm surprised she even knew what a fourth wall was, but the producer was just like, yeah, go ahead, do whatever you want. This is gonna be a good scene. So Porsha starts accusing Drew of trying to bring Dennis onto the show as a peach holder, or at least a friend of the show, and trying to film scenes with him behind her back, which I could see why Porsha would be upset because, Drew, you would not like if Porsha went down to Ralph's basement and tried to film scenes with him behind her back, talking about you or just talking about, you know, her hair company, what's her hair company called again? You know, get naked with somebody else's husband. You wouldn't like that, right? Like, imagine Porsha just showing up to your house and going down to Ralph's basement like, hey, Ralph, how are you? Like, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't like that, Drew. Like, it's just the whole thing just looks wrong. But again, since Porsha did what she did with Simon, I guess there's no rules. So I don't feel sympathy for you, Porsha. So, you know, honestly, both of you are low down. Like, Drew, what are you doing? Like, you could be with anybody in Atlanta. You could be, you know, any producer, but yet you want, you know, Mr. Hot Dog Man. Then we head over to Angela's house. That's also this big, beautiful mansion. She's in the kitchen with her daughter and her husband, Charles Oakley. Did I mention that she's married to Charles Oakley? Because she reminded us like 50 times already in just 2 episodes. Every conversation, every little thing with her is Charles Oakley. Oh, how are you today? Good morning. I'm married to Charles Oakley. Okay, do you want to go get breakfast? I'm married to Charles Oakley. Okay, what about lunch? Do you want to do lunch or brunch or something? I'm married to Charles Oakley. Okay, but do you want to go to the movie theaters to go watch that new movie? I'm actually married to Charles Oakley. Like, okay, what else? Like, we get it, Angela. I get it that you're a proud wife, but like, what else? I hope that this is not your whole personality. She gives us a backstory of how her and Charles Oakley met at this party. They exchanged numbers. She didn't hear anything from him. 10 years later, now they're living in the same building complex, and now they're together. Isn't that crazy how life works? And you mean to tell me, Angela, that my potential husband could be somebody that I met 10 years ago and I don't even know it? You know, if any of you from 10 years ago in my life are watching this video, you know, call me, you know, text me. Let's just see if the flame is still there. You know, I don't know. I might be following in Angela's footsteps. Psych. You know, I'm too good for any of you, so don't even try. You're going to get blocked. So she also tells us that she's a self-millionaire. She owns a financial consulting business and she has 5 different properties. And the second that she said that, I know that Giselle from The Real Housewives of Potomac, I know she was watching this episode with her blood vessels about to explode. She was probably watching like, oh, you know, I actually like this new housewife. Wait, she has 5 different properties. And then probably threw a whole tantrum. We know that Giselle does not like anybody having more than one property, right? So then she starts telling her daughter about what happened at Shamia's house between Drew and Porsha. And then her husband, Charles Oakley, he just starts shutting everything down like, oh, who cares about that? Who cares about that? Nobody cares about that whole conversation. Why are we talking about this? Let's make dinner. Why are we discussing this? And it's just like, okay, Mr. Charles Oakley, that could be cute for this one scene, but if you're going to be like that the entire season, then we don't need to see any more scenes of the infamous Charles Oakley. Like, you do know that your wife is on the show. She has to discuss these things. She can't just not discuss anything, because then what's the purpose of her being on the show? Then we see Kenya Moore and Porsha meeting up to have lunch together. This was history in the making. I was watching this like, wow, we really came a long way, right? As Kenya is pulling up in her Rolls Royce, at the bottom of the screen it says, purchased in 2022. So Porsha, she pulls up in the same car. At the bottom of the screen it says, gifted by Simon. Like, bravo, you did not have to do that. Like, that was a very unneeded information. Like, we could have just had both, these women just pull up in these nice cars and called it a day. Like, you didn't have to put her on blast like So eventually they meet up and Kenya just looks so beautiful. And it is just, like I said last week, it is just so disappointing how we get no confessionals, no nothing from her. She just shows up and that's it. So, they're sitting down and Porsha, she gives us a brief history of their relationship. And then we see in the flashbacks, all the way from 2012 or whatever. And it's really crazy. Like, we've really been watching them since back then. Like, I remember when they came on and, they really just changed the whole entire show together. It was crazy though, because we saw all these little flashbacks between them and their arguments, but we didn't see the infamous, the little hair pull at the season 6 reunion. I'm like, where's that footage at? We remember, get fired, get fired, get fired. I've been through too much. Like, Kenya, oh, I love you and all, but oh, you were pushing it that day. But, they sit down, they both look good together, and Kenya, being the producer, and this is the other thing that kills me, she knows how to keep everything flowing and moving and getting the questions out, and yet she is just still technically irrelevant to the show now. Like, just such a shame. So she starts questioning to Porsha about, what's going on with Drew and that whole situation. And Porsha was just like, well, Drew, apparently, she's with Dennis now or whatever. And I'm not really sure what's going on with that. And it's just very weird. And I don't really like how she's moving. She's supposed to be a good friend to me. So then Kenya continues, so what's going on with you and Simon? And I'm like, Kenya, oh, you veteran, you know how to do this TV show, right? And Porsha, she's just opening her mouth and she's like, oh, me and Simon, we were, on this plane and then we got surrounded or whatever. The Power Rangers came out of nowhere. They tried to fight us and, now he's going to jail. He's a scammer. I'm his 5th wife. Well, technically 4th because one of the marriages was fake. And I'm like, Porsha, what? Like, you knew all of this and you still decided to marry him? First of all, the most shocking thing to me is, since when does Porsha have a book? What's it called? The Pursuit of Porsha? I never knew she had a book. That's news to me. But Porsha, come over here. Come over here for a second. Come over here. Come on, because I'm sick of this. Come over here. Sit down. Move back a little bit. You're stepping on my foot. Come over here and listen closely. For any of you, you too, Porsha, for any of you who are in a relationship with somebody who has a lot of money, and you see a couple of red flags, popping up every now and then, this is what you're going to do, okay? Listen to me very, very, very closely, but just keep it between me and you. So this is what you do. So every single night when they're going to sleep, you wait until they fall asleep. You make sure that they're sleeping. And, if you notice that their wallet is right there on the counter, you walk over to it and you take like maybe $1,000, give or take, your situation. You take $1,000 every single night for about 7 weeks. Again, give or take, depending on your situation. It could be longer, it could be shorter. You take $1,000 every single night and you put it into a pillowcase, right? A bag. And then you wrap that bag up and you place it somewhere that only you and only you know. You don't tell anybody, not a single soul. You put it in a closet, underneath the bed, in your purse, anywhere. And then, you continue doing that. And then when you see that everything starts going up in flames and they're about to go to jail, that's when you get the pillowcase out, you take it out, and boom, now you have your own money, you're free, and now, they're going to jail and you have money. It's that simple. But Porsha, oh, I'm over here thinking that she's doing something, marrying this man with money, but now you're in a bigger pickle. Ooh, not bigger pickle. And she's like, I saw, one of the cameras in the house, I saw that he was bringing in women from, all over the place and he was cheating on me. And I mean, what did you expect? What's the infamous quote? you get him how you, no, you lose him how you get him or whatever. He did the same thing to Fallon. What do you think that he was going to do to you? Oh, I'm going to be 100% faithful to Porsha. No, Porsha, unfortunately, you don't have it like that. I mean, you could have it like that, but unfortunately you don't. So, but again, this whole scene between Porsha and Kenya, it just really shows how far they've come. Kenya is much better than me because there is just no way that I'm sitting across the table, from somebody to have lunch, from somebody who dragged me by the hair. I don't care how, it could have been 20 years ago. No. What did Cardi B say? If we have beef, we have beef forever. Like, no, that's a hair pull and you embarrass me. But Kenya was good though. She got dragged down and then she hopped back up in that really tight dress. Like, oh, the good reunions. We briefly see Kelly and her project manager meeting up to discuss how she's planning on opening up another Il Nana restaurant at a new location because the one that she has at a different location, her ex-toxic husband actually shut that down. On top of that, he was stealing money from her. Like, that is crazy to me. Like, you really, truly never know who you're in a relationship with nowadays. You think you start off one way, like, oh, we're getting married out of love. And then later on down the line, when things get rough, now all of a sudden you see a whole different person in them. Like, that is scary. But I'm glad that Kelly's out of that situation. And she seems like she's in a much better place. And speaking of situations, we head over to Britt's house. She has a beautiful home. We see her in the kitchen with her and her husband, Michael. As I'm watching their interaction and their forced conversation, it's just, there's just something there. There's just something there. Is it just me? But there's something there. I'm just watching them and I'm like, yeah, there's something there, And I don't know if it's just because he's shy. Maybe the cameras are too much. This is his first time on TV, I think. But there's something there. And I just can't put my finger on it, but there's definitely something there, and she's trying to force a conversation out of him. She was just like, oh yeah, I met Michael when I opened up my insurance company. He was actually a client of mine. And I'm like, oh, okay, so she was fucking her clients. Okay. So she says that they met, everything else was good after that, and now they're here. And she's trying to, start a conversation with him. They're trying to have a baby, I believe, through IVF. I believe he wants to be a girl dad, and I mean, I don't know. Even as she's walking away, she's like, oh, I love you. And he was just like, oh, yeah, love is good to have. I'm like, oh, okay, it's going to be one of those storylines, but okay, Britt. Then we see Drew meeting up with Charles Oakley's wife at this gym to work out. Drew starts talking about the situation between her, Porsha, the hot dog man, aka now producer, aka now Stevie J. And she's like, well, if I knew that Porsha was never going to give me her blessing to work with her ex-boyfriend, then I would have just backed off and I would have found a different hot dog man to be my new producer. But, I need him because, my music career, I just need this financially. And I mean, the way she's hyping up Dennis, I could have swore all he did was, sold hot dogs. Like, does he really know that much about music, Drew? Like, I don't know, the way you're hyping him up and the way you're hyping up your career, I better see you have a Grammy, an Oscar, you better be an EGOT winner by the end of the year. You better have the #1 song on Billboard. You better have the #1 song on of the summer. Shamia joins them and Charles Oakley's wife was just like, Shamia, it was just so interesting the way you asked Drew, is she fucking Dennis? And I'm like, I could have sworn that was not what she asked, Mrs. Charles Oakley's wife, but okay. Shamia had to correct her. That's not what I asked. I asked her, was she simply dating Dennis? That was it. So then Charles Oakley's wife was just like, wait, so you asked her because of Porsha, right? Because you were trying to defend her. And I'm like, whoa, what did Shamia do to you? She invited you to her big ass mansion, and yet now where's this disrespect coming from? But then again, I want to know too, so continue. So then Shamia was just like, okay, what are you getting at now? Both of them, they went from 0 to 100 quickly. They're both going at each other. They're over talking each other. Charles Oakley's wife was just like, I feel like you're Portia's assistant. I mean, is she wrong? I mean, is she lying about it? I mean, the receipts are right there. I mean, but I feel like eventually over time, Shamia is going to break free from that title of just being Portia's bestie, especially now that she's a peach holder. So, she may be her assistant, but, she'll give her 2 weeks in eventually. And then, she won't have that job title no more. So eventually they continue going back and forth. Drew, she's just sitting there to the side like, wait a minute, does nobody want to hear about me and the hot dog man anymore? In the confessional, she goes on to say that, I don't need the baggage from the hot dog man, aka now the producer, aka Stevie J, and Porsha. I don't need their baggage. I have my own. Because now Ralph, apparently he's asking for alimony and child support. Ralph, you have some nerve. You should be asking for basement support. You know, you're living in a basement. Like, you need to get out of there and go live a proper life somewhere else outside of a basement. Like, what are you doing? You know, first of all, what are both of you doing? And, you know, honestly, you know, not to be shady or anything, and I'm just asking a question, but, you know, does Drew even have enough for alimony? I mean, I'm just asking. I'm just curious. You know, maybe that's why she wants the hot dog man to like really give her the music career, right? Or whatever. But we see Porsha and her daughter Pilar going to this kid's playground thing. Pilar's having a good time. She's running around all over the place. Porsha's also having a good time with her. Then the camera slowly pans down to somebody's feet as they're walking in. You know, with their smelly socks, they're putting their shoes away. And who is it? The man of the hour, the topic of conversation these past 2 episodes, Dennis the hot dog man, aka the producer, aka Stevie J, or at least I thought it was Babyface, the way Drew hypes him up to be the best producer alive. So then he shows up, he sits down next to Porsha, there's some tension, you know, but their hug was a little bit too intimate. I'm like, Porsha, you know, you still want to bite out of that hot dog, man. Like, you can't tell me otherwise. So Porsha, she's just sitting there like, you know, I mean, Drew, she told me about both of you working together, but the way she makes it seem is like there's something more. And I'm like, you know, are you jealous? Are you jealous? You know, so then Dennis was like, you know, there's nothing going on. I would never bang Drew. And I'm like, whoa. You know, we are in a kid's place, please. Like, you know, let's use like, you know, cleaner words. And he was just like, you know, I told Ralph is a friend of mine. And I'm like, oh, you also need to get better friends, you know, or at least, you know, save your friend from the basement. And he was just like, I would never touch Drew like that, blah, 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 and all this and all that. And I'm like, I can't trust you. Honestly, I can't trust any of you. So then Porsha was just like, well, that's not the way she makes it seem. She makes it seem as if there's something more. And then we see in a flashback, Drew, yeah, you're also a little, I don't know who's gaslighting me in this whole situation. But then we see in a flashback, Drew was just like, Dennis is like my angel. And I'm like, again, going back to my previous question, is he really that good of a producer? Like, I thought he just sold hot dogs. Like, you never really know somebody nowadays, huh? So Dennis was like, I've seen you have about 16 marriages on the show, and you don't think that hurts me watching that? Ooh, the hot dog man is earning his peach. And you know, 16 went right over Porsha's head. You know she can't count. So then he was just like, I just don't understand what the big deal is. And I completely understand exactly where Porsha's coming from. Like, her feelings are completely valid. It's just there's no sympathy because of the whole situation with Fallon and, you know, Simon. And if Fallon was to feel the same way about seeing her and Simon on this show, I'm pretty sure that Porsha wouldn't care. So why should Drew? Why should Dennis? But I completely understand where she's coming from because I will feel the same way. You know, like, this is like my thing. I'm very territorial. This is my space. And now my ex is trying to basically earn his peach for next season by filming with Drew. And, you know, things could get messy very quickly. Like, what if Porsha and Drew, they have a fallout and now she's filming with, you know, the father of her child. And, you know, now I'm looking at him like, why are you filming with my enemy type of thing? So I completely understand where Portia's coming from, but too bad. She's crying. The producer's asking her, have you thought about expressing this to Dennis? She was just like, you know what? No, that man is not worth my tears. Like, he's not worth it. And I mean, she was just full on crying, like snot all over the place. And I'm like, damn, Porsha, like, get it together. You know, I don't know. Part of me just really feels that, you know, we all say, oh, you know, I'm over them. But are we really over them? You know, there's always that 1% that you're thinking like, I mean, yeah, I'm over them. But, you know, if the time was right and the place was right, you know, I will fuck them again, right? So, I don't know. I feel like Porsha was secretly wants a little taste of the hot dog man just one more time. She doesn't want anybody on this cast to be attached to him. So, and does she know that Britt and Kelly that they also have a past with Dennis? Because I feel like that's just going to send her over the edge. So, hopefully just nobody tells her that. Eventually, we see 20 minutes later, we see her and Simon. I mean, ooh. Wrong man. We see her and the hot dog man. They're actually sitting in Simon's car that he brought her. Isn't that crazy, right? So then she's going off on him and she was just like, you know what? It's just crazy. I can't believe that you want to film with Drew. Like, you want to be on this show so badly. Like, this is my thing. And then he was just like, you do know that we're still mic'd up, right? Like, they could still hear us. And Porsha kills me. She was just like, oh, well, no, you know, I know. I'm pretty sure that you know since you're a professional at this now, right? Like, she was pissed, but I was dying of laughter. But they continue going off, and she's just going off, and she starts cursing. And I really hope that Pilar was not, like, was she in the back seat? You know, because she should not have to be witnessing her parents have an argument like this, you know, as they're driving. But I don't know, Porsha. It just seems like there's something much more, rooted with this whole issue, and we'll see what comes about this. But it seems that obviously Dennis, he's getting what he wants. He wants, promotion or whatever he wants from this. But apparently he's not with Drew. He hasn't touched her according to him. So I don't really know if I believe that, but we'll see. We'll tune in onto the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. Let me know what you all thought about this whole episode down in the comments. Bye, everybody. Mwah.